Well, this is Dr. Stan. We have Bob on the line from Ohio. Our board is full. We'll be trying to get to everybody here. But suddenly Bob from Ohio is wanting to know, is anybody talking about putting gold or silver into the pension funds? He's speaking about the pension funds for city, state, or county employees. But before we get to that, and Bob Chapman answers that, Bob Chapman, I want you to go ahead and tell our listeners how they can get in touch with the International Forecast, how they can get a free copy, how they can subscribe to it, and why they subscribe to the International Forecaster at this time in history.
Well, the forecast is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesdays and Saturdays by email. It usually runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet. If you'd like to receive a free current copy, you can go to our site, theinternationalforecaster.com. That's theinternationalforecaster.com. If you'd like to send us a question, our email address is bob@intforecaster.com, bob@intforecaster.com, or you can call toll-free 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178. And if you use that number, there's a special deal being offered for new subscribers and current subscribers. And so if you'd like to subscribe, give that number a call.
Well, now, Bob, certainly our caller from Ohio, Bob from Ohio, was asking, have you ever heard of anybody making a suggestion that certainly the pension funds, the private pension funds, or certainly the city or state or county pension funds put gold and silver in there so that, if the whole economic system collapses, there'd be something left over in the employee's pension fund? Have you heard anything about that?
No, but I did receive a letter today from a subscriber, which will be in Saturday's issue, and his wife works for a big pension management company. And when coming up at one of their company meetings, the question was brought up about the government taking over retirement plans and giving a guaranteed return, and the management was all for that because that means more business in their pocket. And that possibility exists that government might just offer some kind of a plan like that, or some sort of a savings plan, which would barely be a tax, or even something mandatory. I don't know. They may not do anything. But those things are lined up. But the reason I mentioned it is the bottom line is the government's concerned because people are pulling money out of their retirement plans because they've had massive losses in their real estate, and many of them are unemployed as well. And so they're living on this money, or perhaps they're making house payments, whatever. The point is that massive amounts of money are leaving that system.
Just one last comment. You would think, Bob, even though that we know they want to keep us in paper, you would think that maybe the government would maybe want these county and state and maybe some private to just put a little bit in there so the whole thing doesn't crash. Could you comment on that, and then I'll close.
I think what they want to do is get voluntary commitments of 10% of your pension plan or 50% to the government. They then use that as collateral against their bonds.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're up to.
Okay, fine. Thanks
Okay.
very much for calling, Bob. Let's go to
Thank you.
Mary, who's calling from Santa Cruz. Again, our telephone number, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 1-888-24-LIBERTY, or 464-8295. And hi, Mary. How are you doing?
I'm just fine, Dr. Stan. I'd like to ask Mr. Chapman where Poland stands in this EU economic situation, and they don't use the euro; they use the zloty.
The what?
Zloty.
Zloty. In
That's
Poland.
the Polish money. They don't use the euro.
No, they're not part of the Eurozone.
Well,
They're
are
part of the European Union.
Yes. How do they stand economically in this situation?
On a scale of 10, I'd say they're a 4, maybe a 5.
So they're better off.
10 being best.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah, they have problems, and Denmark is another one that has problems right now as well. And but Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Hungary, Romania, the Ukraine, Kazakhstan, England, the pigs, which Sam mentioned earlier, Japan, Venezuela, Bolivia, Ecuador, again in Argentina, and of course Chile has problems because they had the terrible earthquake damage. But the point is that there's 19 nations on the edge.
I see.
Well, I left out Iceland, which is already broke.
I was also concerned about, since Obama he canceled the shield, the Russian, to protect them from Russia. Do you think the Russians are on the rampage, or do you think they're maybe sitting quiet for a while?
Well, I think they want to stay out of harm's way, and they're trying to build a better system, and quite frankly, it's not working that well.
Oh, good.
And they're not doing bad, but they're not doing good.
That's
and
Russia.
That could continue to deteriorate because they're exporters of natural resources, and if the world eventually here over the next 2 or 3 or 4 years has a deflationary depression, they're going to be shipping less oil at lesser prices. So they could really run into trouble in the future.
Okay, we're going to let you go there, Mary. But thank you so much for calling. Let's go to Frank calling from Louisiana. Again, our number is 1-888-24-LIBERTY, 464-8295. Frank, did you have a question or comment?
Well, I just wanted to say about this economic Armageddon that I keep going back to what one of the most brilliant political minds of the ages, Thomas Jefferson, said, that if we let these private bankers issue our currency, it'd be the end of the Republican liberty. And the Congress ought to implement the money clauses and say, we're going to issue the money and not let the Federal Reserve and take it away from them.
You're absolutely right. We have a little pamphlet. Go ahead.
Well, we have to pay these Federal Reserve banks are tax exempt. 12 U.S. Code says that, and we have to pay them this interest we never owed them, redeemable and golded part of the IMF. These people should be arrested, and we should be pushing for the issuing of our own currency instead of letting these diabolical families do it.
Well, Bob, what are your thoughts on what Frank's saying?